Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to the Nerdy 30s, and this is the podcast that proves you don't have to give up things you love at a certain age.
Never.
I'm Travis Harrison,
I'm Erin Naoma.
and we are doing just kind of like a mini, short episode. Hello, that is Bernie.
The little jingles you heard is a kitty cat.
We're doing a quick episode because Erin would like to tell you about the stuff she's doing.
Yes!
Specifically, the one stuff she did, which is a book.
It's a book.
It's a children's book, but it's not a children's book. It is an all-ages book.
Yes.
With illustrations.
Yeah, well, people, anytime I tell them that I wrote a book and it's a picture book, they're always like, oh, well, this is for tiny little children. I'm like, no, honey. This is a book that transcends. So, I mean, you can be a little kid, you can be an older adult. You're going to get the message as to what it's about pretty much. And you'll probably, for little kids, it'll probably be more so of, I'm going through this right now and I don't really understand. And then when you're an adult, you're kind of like, I felt that. You know, like when I was little, I felt that feeling. So that's what it is. The book is called The Littlest Astronaut.
And it's, available on?
It's you can get it on Amazon.
Amazon.
I think it's at Barnes & Nobles as well, and then somewhere else. There's somewhere else.
It's places with books.
Places with books will carry it. It's going to be available at Dada Boutique in Indiana. Very soon.
It's our friend Benjamin Byrne.
Yes, Benjamin Byrne.
So shout out to Ben Byrne and Dada Boutique. Go check them out.
Yeah, it's a ladies' and gentlemen's clothing store, and they have all kinds of local goods there as well because they like to support local people because they are a local.
Because they are local people too.
Yes, they are the local, and I am a local, so they're like, I shall carry your book. And I said, thank you. If you're not local,
well, I'm sorry for you.
Yeah.
I'm sure
you don't get to be in there.
I'm sure they have a website, if not yet.
They do.
Know. Yeah.
They have a website. You can actually buy a lot of their clothing and jewelry and stuff on Facebook.
Good for him being up to times and stuff.
Yeah, he's rocking it. I'm super duper stoked for him.
Okay. So back to your book.
Oh, yes!
Because that's the whole point of this. It's very much a metaphor for loss, I want to say.
Yeah, that's very, very accurate.
Well, not even really a metaphor. It's explicit, but in euphemism terms, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Well, I wrote The Littlest Astronaut, okay, so this is, my cat Punk had just passed away. He had cancer, and then it got me really thinking about when I was a child, and I lost my Nana to cancer, and I sat there, and I was just kind of like, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what was going on. I knew that I was sad about something, and I knew everyone around me was sad, and everyone around me was kind of why I was feeling sad, because I was picking up on their cues. Mm-hmm. I knew I was supposed to be sad, because something was happening, and I didn't know what was happening. And so I wrote this book to kind of bridge that gap that I felt as a little kid, because I would always be kind of yearning for something that would fill the void that I was feeling, because I didn't know what was going on, everyone else did, and I wanted to create something that would give a parent an opportunity to be able to give their child this void that they're feeling. Oh, hey, there's a little kid in this story named Jonah, and he's got a best friend named Caleb, and Caleb has been offered a chance of a lifetime to be the youngest astronaut to go to space. And it doesn't actually follow Caleb through the story, it follows Jonah. And Jonah going through the motions of realizing, oh, hey, my best friend that I've had since kindergarten is now going to be gone. So it's all about him coming to terms with the loss that he's about to achieve, that he's about to have.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what it is in a nutshell.
Like everybody else, I expected it to be short, like a a kid's book, like,
Yeah.
a couple words per page.
Right. It's more like a chapter book.
But it is very much just long paragraphs and stuff. I was able to skim through it. I did skip to the end, but like I feel like if you're an older reader, it's one of those things where like you can see where it's going, but it's more about the journey and how you get there.
Right.
And so like, of course, the end is really sad. I will say it is very good. I can see it being one of those sad Oscar bait movies.
Yes.
where you have the children's story where it's like, oh, it's really an astronaut, and then like maybe they tell like from the parents' side where they're dealing with an illness. So I could totally see that happening. You should shop it around. Be like, make a movie.
Maybe I will. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just it's interesting because you would expect like the story to follow around Caleb, because you were saying like a different perspective. You'd expect it to follow around Caleb, like, oh, he's gonna go to space camp and he's gonna learn how to float in space and all that.
Yeah.
But it's actually, you're following Jonah and he's waiting.
It's very deceptive. If I picked it up at the bookstore, I'd be like, oh, it's a little kid going to space. And then by the end, I'd be like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
This little kid didn't go to space.
This is not what I wanted to happen at all.
I know. Well, I feel like that's important, though, to talk about. And I mean, like you said, it's not just for little kids. Because, I mean, there's big words in the book. Little kids aren't going to know what those big words are. So, the whole process of this book is for the adult to read it. Mm-hmm. And then maybe the adult can read it by themselves. They don't have to have kids. But an adult can read it and then bring the book to their child so that they can then talk about the feelings that they're feeling.
Yeah.
Because everybody was so sad when I was little, and they didn't understand what to do because I was little, and they knew I didn't understand. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So this book is about bridging the gap and letting the adult be able to talk to the kid in a metaphor that they will more genuinely understand than the idea of death.
Yeah. I think it's one of those books that probably be good, you know how like grief counseling seminars and stuff.
Yeah.
Like they have those. I'm not saying like, it's like a self-help book, but like...
It kind of is,
I mean, yeah, it would be one of those books that you would, like if you were in counseling, like you would read a child to kind of open their emotions and see... Like, have a discussion about it,
Right. Like, kind of like, what did you feel about Jonah? You know? And another thing that brought me to write this book was I have my master's in counseling. Mm-hmm. And I've never used it. And I was like, I need to use it for something. So I chose to write a book.
So you're just going to write a bunch of books while you psych people out.
Yeah, totally.
Which is a valid form of using it.
It is a valid form of using it. Well... I wanted to create something that got a message out there, but it wasn't so in your face that it made people uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Like counseling is. Counseling can make people really uncomfortable.
It can. 'Cause you have to, it's so clinical, and you're forced to talk about your deepest, darkest secrets, and you're like,
to a stranger that you don't know.
I don't know about this. Like, I have some deep, dark secrets, and you're like some guy, so...
Exactly. And that's why I was like, I want to put this in the hands of the adults in the children's life. Instead of being like, here's a counselor. Because I feel like, because it was my Nana that passed away that brought this book on. I feel like, there was a distance that happened right at that time with me and my mom and dad. Because they were really sad. They understood fully what was going on. I didn't know what was happening. So... that distance, them not understanding how to tell me that Nana wasn't around anymore, could have been bridged with this, the whole book. So, I don't know.
What inspired the characters? Are they based on anybody?
Oh, okay. The characters actually are not based on anyone. If I was gonna say it was about anybody, like if it could be based on anyone...
I mean, it doesn't have to be, like, just, like, the sickness and stuff. It could be just, like, just character traits. Or...
Nobody, really. Seriously, nobody. Okay. Like, I've had this story in my head for a while. It was right after my friend Zach had passed away. You remember Zach?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right after my friend Zach had passed away, and I was sitting there and I was like, huh. And I actually wrote something similar on his Facebook page after he had passed away. And somebody...
You just wrote a book.
I did, literally. And a family friend of mine wrote on there, they were like, you should make this into a song. And I was like, it's a book.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how the whole thing came into the shebang-a-bang world. But the characters aren't really based on anybody. They're more so just the replicas of the feelings that you have. Because you'll have... Caleb is the character that is representing sickness. You know, the one that is going to leave. So, you know, his character is very based on not feeling well and coming to terms with the fact that he's going to be leaving everyone that he knows to some great beyond that he has no idea about.
Yeah.
And then Jonah is, you know, the waiting, the stress, the knowledge that this person's going to leave, and you want to help them and you want to stop that from happening, but you don't want them to be in pain anymore. So that's where Jonah comes from. So they're not really based on people. They're more so based on how people react in the situations.
That's one of the reasons that I said it would probably make a good movie.
Yeah.
Because, like, from what little I was able to read in that short amount of time, like, as an adult, reading that and very much getting the metaphor and knowing what's actually literally happening in that situation, and seeing the child believe something else make believe is happening. It's kind of a little heartbreaking, and it does, like, if you're reading it as an adult, and it's a great way to explain it to a child, but you know what's actually happening, and so it's one of those, like, oh, my heart, you know.
I know, it punches you right in the gut.
Like, because you want to explain to them, no, this is what's happening, but you don't want to scare them. So...
And I think it's such a better metaphor than telling them that they went to sleep.
Yeah.
I hate that metaphor. When people say, oh, well, Grammy went to sleep. Grammy's okay. And it's kind of like, if I go to sleep... is that going to happen to me?
Yeah, because then that's terrifying. That's like, I don't want to, like, never wake up.
Exactly. So that's why I was kind of like, I need to have this thing where they go somewhere, you know? And I mean, it's not just... the whole thing is about cancer, but it's not just for kids losing someone to illness. It can actually be for a kid that loses a friend that moves, you know? Like a best friend that just, like, traumatically had to leave. You know, they didn't get to have that closure. So, I mean, it's not just for kids that, you know, lost someone to cancer. You know, there's a lot of different ways that it can work for them. And...
You kind of answered this, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Do it.
What made you decide on the theme of space being your metaphor instead of, like, something else?
Well, I grew up on The Lion King. And Mufasa said that all the ancestors were up in the clouds.
You just become a giant face in the clouds.
It does work. The reason actually why I chose space is because it's a way for them to leave Earth and be somewhere else that they just don't know about what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you know, you can go to another state, but hey, they can still call, you know? But if you're in space, the only people that can talk to you are at the space station, you know? The other people that are hooked in to space. So it'd be like the other spirits or whatever, you know? It's a huge old metaphor. So the, also the space, quote-unquote space, outer space, is supposed to represent the space between people. So, you know, because there's going to be a lot of distance between them now that they can't put back together.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to tell us about this book?
The pictures of the book I actually did myself too. I made them all out of paper. I took a cue from Eric Carle. and he was the one that did like the hungry little caterpillar and the angry ladybug.
Yeah.
So I got a whole bunch of construction paper and a whole bunch of glue and a whole bunch of scissors, and I cut. And that's how I put them together. And there's actually stickers in here. I use stickers as well. And popsicle sticks. I use popsicle sticks to make some of the photos as well. So it's all very hands-on arts and crafts going on here. Just like if you were a little kid and you were making pictures in like kindergarten or something.
It reminds me of like the shows we used to watch as kids, which was our last podcast, if you want to listen to that. But like Reading Rainbow or something, where they have like the little kind of, I don't want to say shoddily animated, but like, just like the quickly animated little shorts to go with the story.
Right. It's actually kind of the feeling that I wanted to go with it. Because I always liked the style of Eric Carle, but his style is very like angelic and ethereal. And I was
Every time you say Eric Carle, I think you're going to say Eric Cartman, which is also relevant because South Park
he's made out of construction paper.
Also the same.
That's actually more the style of the book is South Park.
No poo and no cursing.
No poo, no cursing, just wholesome family goodness.
And heartbreak.
And heartbreak. Lots and lots of heartbreak. I actually, when I first got the book, I handed it over to my dad to read, and he sat there very quietly for about a half an hour. And just like, I'm sitting there and I'm writing something, and I look up after I hear a... And I look and I'm like, oh, my daddy's crying.
And then you were like, yes.
I was like, that's what I want. No, but seriously, when I started writing this book, I actually cried a bunch while I was writing it. Like, it's just such an emotional story.
Well, I mean, that's the best way to write, is if you actually feel something about what you're writing.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, if I'm feeling it, other people are going to feel it too. So, like, I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, the little boy, he's going to shave off his hair to be like his friend, because he doesn't have any hair. And I literally lost it. I had to take a break, and then I'd go back to writing it. This story actually took me 4 hours to write, maybe 4 hours tops to write. I mean, that doesn't include editing and all that. But it didn't take me very long to write this story because I just felt like I was just supposed to write it.
Yeah.
You know, like it just kind of flowed out. And usually, I mean, I've written poetry like that. I've written songs like that, but I've never actually written a book like that. And everything just kind of came very organically and just kind of poured onto the paper. So, it was interesting, because usually I have to, like, sit down and I'm like, well, this is this character's ideas, and this is this character's ideas, and kind of separate it out and then put it together later. But this one, I just sat down and ideas just went down. You know, there was no thinking about it. It was just how it was supposed to happen.
That's generally how I am. Which is, I either write everything at once, or, like, it takes me 4 years.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Oh, man. I wrote another book, and, well, I've got several different books that I'm working on right now.
I'm excited.
I know, I love it. But one of the books was actually, it's like a sci-fi fantasy novel.
Is it it's kind of slightly horror-ish,
Yes,
too?
it is slightly horror-ish.
You've told me about it already.
It's called Scratch.
Yes!
Yeah!
I didn't want to give anything away, but,
It's
like,
alright.
yes.
It's alright. It's copywritten. You guys can't steal it. But yeah, so Scratch is really cool. I am currently on the second draft of that. My sister-in-law was nice enough to do some editing for me, and she's like, what the ass is this about? This is a stupid line. And I was like, oh, get rid of it. I'm sorry.
Isn't it like werecats or something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It's such an unexplored genre.
I know, and
everyone's all like werewolves and vampires, but what about the werekitties?
Yeah, and it's like, it's got such backstory. Like, I went into hardcore research mode. It's neat.
You watched Thriller 8 times.
29 times I watched Thriller, and I was like, where did he get his whiskers?
I know, if you want to argue, watch it again and look at a cat and look at a wolf. He's a cat.
He's a cat man.
Everyone's like, no, he's a werewolf. No, he's a cat. He has whiskers. He has, like, the spindly claws. He's a cat.
He is a cat. He's 100% a cat. He is not a doggy.
Yeah.
And I know because I have 5 cats.
I know.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And then I also have my poetry book where it's like poetry, like my favorite poetry that I did from my childhood on up into today. Mm-hmm. Well, not today, but a couple years ago. I've got some new ones that I'm going to be putting out another poetry book as well. Guys, if you want, like people to actually get their work out there, you have to spread the word. You have to check it out. You gotta look into it.
There's a picture of a penis at the end of it.
Then people will read it.
It doesn't unlock unless you read all of the poems.
Exactly. Read the poems. But everybody that I know has read the poetry book loved it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like, if you just take the time to look at local people's art, you might just be surprised at how much you like it.
That's the thing that just...
You don't have to have society's approval to like something.
Yeah. But that's the thing that's so hard about entertainment, which is what we're kind of struggling with on our podcast now,
right.
is that, like, it feels like you have to just have a lucky break.
Right. It's
like,
so true.
It's not just about all the hard work that you do. Like,
right.
You have to network and hope somebody picks something up, and then you get lucky.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's just like with the Littlest Astronaut, I got really lucky that so many were bought that Amazon had to get a new shipment in. Everybody that's read it has just, like, loved it. Mm-hmm. But getting people to actually take the time to be like, oh, hey, they came up with this. It's new. The world hasn't told me to buy it yet. Should I buy it?
It's one of those things where it's a couple of different things. It's the society we live in these days where everyone's so poor now we can't take the risk on something not being good. So
that's true.
Like, I don't want to buy it. But then, like, also, if you do want to read it, there's so many ways to just steal it. Right. So you're just like, I think I'm going to steal it instead. And either way, it's not good for the creators.
Right. That's true.
I'm not saying I'm not guilty of having done stuff like that. But I am saying that if you really wholeheartedly support something, you need to find a way to support it. Like paying for your copy, donating to them, whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, like, The Littlest Astronaut, it's $14. It actually, for how much it costs to make, it should be more, but I didn't want to. Because stuff's expensive now, and people don't have any money. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not going to do that to people. So, we'll keep it 14.
Is there a way to do, like, a Kindle version? I know it might be hard.
There is a way to do a Kindle version, but that actually leads to people stealing it more. Yeah. And... I don't mind giving people books for free, but, when you're trying to build it up, you kind of want to have a better grasp on what's going on.
Like, I mean, I know that's, like, a legitimate thing that you're worried about, but, like, also, in the society we live in today, everything is digital. Yeah. So that might be, I'm giving business advice, and that might be a route you want to go.
Well,
eventually.
For this type of book, the shape of it, I've actually thought about doing the digital, and I've started to go into doing the digital. The shape of the book does not equal digital. Yeah. Because digital is very vertical, and this is a very horizontal book. Yeah. So it, like, cuts off half the page, and I'm like, no! I want them to read it!
Is there a way that you can do it, like, where you tilt the screen? Like, I know it's like an iPad type thing. Like when you tilt the screen, like it goes widescreen and then...
Oh, I have no idea.
I'm sure you could do that.
I don't know. I'm old. I'm an old person. What was it that I did the other day? Oh, I messaged you on accident. Yeah. On a photo that I shared to you that was actually to someone else.
It was like, if you're trying to get the message to this person, it's not going to them.
It's not going to happen, honey.
It's going to me.
And I'm like, oopsie boopsie. My mistakens. Yeah, I felt really old when I did that.
It's okay. I feel old all the time. Like, people are just constantly telling me about new things. Yeah. And I'm just like, what's happening right now?
I don't understand.
What are you talking about?
I am resistant to what you're talking about.
Is that what the kids are into these days?
They're snorting pixie sticks? That's disgusting.
And the whole tagline of our podcast is like, we're young. But, like, then we, like, see actual young things and we're like, we're old.
Yeah, we're really old. We're really old, but that doesn't mean that we can't have fun.
I know. Keep having fun, even when you're old.
And support local art.
Support art in general.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Well, everything that I do with my life, I do music, Manana Bango. I write books, and
you podcast.
And I podcast.
And you write scripts. You do scripts. Like everything.
I do. I'm very, very artsy.
See, that's the thing. Like, we're artsy, but we don't know what we want to do.
Well, my problem is once I get all of those things done, what do I do with it next?
You gotta show it to people.
Yeah.
That's the part where you're just like, I
don't know how to show it to people. I'm like, sure, you may look at this, but don't steal anything. You jerk. You jerk.
Please don't steal from me.
Don't steal from me.
I need money.
I need money, and I worked really hard on it. You're just gonna like, please don't be mean to me.
This reminds me, there's this episode of Drag Race in the second season where they do this challenge. They have to go to the street and perform for money. And one of the girls just drops to her knees and she's like, please give me money! I'm poor!
That's how I feel! 24/7! Like, I can't afford my house anymore. I need some money. Give me that money! But, in all seriousness, I did not write this book for the money.
No.
I wrote this book to help people.
No, I think with most good art, we just do it because
we love it.
We want to do it, and we have a lot of ideas in our head, and we don't want our brains to explode.
Yeah.
Because of the ideas.
The ideas.
They're just there. So, Erin, it appears that the lead characters are a little white boy and a little black boy.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about why it's important to have representation and diversity in your work?
Well, the main reason why I chose to do that is because in popular media, there is a huge lack of African-American characters that are actually, like, wholesome characters. Like, there's always this stereotype that you see on TV where, they're like a gangster. Or, they're a terrible father. Or something like that, like there's a baby mama happening. Mm-hmm. I don't think that is true at all. One of my best friends is...
Your sister-in-law.
My sister-in-law, yeah. And I wanted to make sure that in this book that her kids would have something that would represent them. Mm-hmm. Because it really would affect me. I know it would affect me, and I've heard from numerous people that are African American that it affects them that in popular media they're shown what they're supposed to be like, and they're nothing like it. You know what I mean? And it has this weird effect on them emotionally where they're just have like a... it's almost like an identity crisis.
Yeah.
It's like all these people that are the superheroes don't look anything like me. And all these people that are doing good things don't look anything like me.
That's a reason why I feel like the new Black Panther movie is going to be really important. Yeah. For a lot of people. And there's this thing going around, hate to break some hearts, but apparently Stan Lee is being accused of sexual misconduct now. But a lot of people are saying, we need to boycott Black Panther. And absolutely not. And
no.
Here's why. First of all, Stan Lee is basically just a mascot for Marvel now.
Right. He doesn't do squat anymore.
He doesn't do anything. He just shows up for his cameos and he collects his checks. Mm-hmm. And that's it. But second of all, this is the first time a movie featuring a 90% black cast in diverse roles in like a superhero realm. Like we've had black superheroes before, but it's never been like so black, like Black Panther is. And so it's really important for these people to see their representation like that. So I absolutely will not boycott that movie just because Stan Lee is an old perv, which most men are, and I'm not surprised anymore. Yeah. Because it represents so much more than him. It's an idea that represents such a large cross-section of people. That's kind of like the same reason why when the whole Joss Whedon scandal came out that we weren't like, let's boycott everything Buffy.
Right.
Because it's an idea that grew so much beyond him and represents so much to so many people.
Exactly.
So just because the original creator is a douchebag doesn't mean it hasn't grown beyond them and that you can't represent it.
Exactly. And one of the things that I was talking to somebody online about this, it was on one of the Buffy chats that I go on to, and they were complaining that there aren't very many black characters in Buffy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another thing. I love Buffy. I will defend it to the death, but that's something they could have been better on. I do think.
And I was reading through the comments, and there were so many people that were just like, oh, look at you complaining, blah, 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 blah. It was the 90s. I was like, whether it was the 90s or not.
I mean, like, that's a valid argument. It was the 90s, but
Yeah.
we were stupid in the 90s, and
Right.
we weren't representing people the way they needed to be represented in the 90s.
Right. That's actually something that I'm very happy has happened with Facebook, because Facebook has brought a lot of these issues to the forefront.
Facebook, Twitter,
Yeah,
Tumblr,
social media.
just social media in general.
Yeah, and it's nice because they didn't have a voice before, whereas now they have a voice and they can state these things. And, you know, I was talking to one of the girls on there, and she was telling me that it really affected her as a child watching Buffy and seeing all these superheroes that weren't her, and all the characters that were black were killed off very quickly. And she was just like, is that what I'm supposed to represent? You know, somebody that's easily tossed aside and killed off and not good enough for a major storyline?
Yeah.
You know?
The only one I can think of that has been properly represented and been powerful for many decades is Storm from the X-Men.
Oh, yeah, I love Storm.
That's it.
Yeah. That's
Now,
true.
I mean, even Black Panther was just kind of like a side character until the movies decided
Yeah.
we need this diverse, awesome character.
Exactly. And I mean, and it's not just that I want diversity in my book. I want to show my friends, you know, I want their kids to be able to say, oh, look, that's me. You know, that's important to me because, you know, I have friends from all different walks of life, and I want to make sure that they know that they're important to me and that their children and their lives and all of that I want represented more.
And I mean, I can identify on some level, you know, being a gay man.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of the same thing.
Right.
Whereas, like, all you saw for, like, the longest time was either you're dying of AIDS or you're the sassy sidekick to Reese Witherspoon or something.
Right.
And I'm not going to say, here's my stance on stereotypes. They're not always bad.
Right.
Because, like, absolutely those people exist in the real world. Otherwise, we wouldn't have stereotypes.
Right, exactly.
And I will not, like, back down from liking drag queens or deciding to vote down the street just randomly because I want to.
Right.
But that's not all I am. And so, I mean, it's really important to see yourself represented on screen because, like, if I saw more than just dead guy or sassy sidekick on TV, I probably would have made different decisions growing up. I probably would have... I mean, I'm not going to say I regret some things I did in high school because I had fun being, like, the stylish homosexual.
Right.
But at the same time, like, I did that a lot because I felt like that was the role I was assigned.
You felt like you needed to do that.
And so, I mean, now I'm just kind of I'm a casual slop now. I'm not wearing the pop collars and the nail... Well, I do wear nail polish.
That's okay.
But I like it.
It's because you like it, and
I
there's
like
nothing
it.
wrong with
Not
that.
because I feel like...
You're pressured.
Yeah.
You know?
So, I mean, I feel like stereotypes have their place, but we need more representation than stereotypes.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So, Jonah, he's a very intelligent little boy. Very, very, very loyal. Like, to the point where he will risk himself to help a friend. You know? Like, he's just got a heart of gold. And it wasn't even a conscious decision for me. Like, it's not even talked about in the book. It's just in the pictures. You know, because it wasn't a conscious decision for me. Like, I just knew that that's who he was. I knew he was a little African-American boy, and his best friend was a little blonde boy. It was just in my head and in my heart immediately. You know, there wasn't anything that had to convince me, and I wasn't trying to prove a point. It was just, this is who they are, and I know who my best friends are, and I know who is in my heart. You know what I mean? And I wanted to put them into the book.
Absolutely.
100%.
She just stared at me like, oh, what is your input? I'm like, absolutely.
Yes. You did it, girl. You did it.
But yeah, like, I do mean it. Like, I do think that it would make a good, like, translation to, like, an independent film or something.
Well, that'd be awesome. I actually have thought about making it into a script. I know I'm going to be making a YouTube video out of it so that people in schools can actually show it to their students in class. So it'll be like me reading over it, doing voices and stuff, and all that goodness. Oh, another thing about the characters in this book is Caleb doesn't have a dad. He has a mom, but he doesn't have a dad. It's not really talked about in the book, but to me, he's like a kid of divorce.
Yeah.
And dad's not really present for any of it, so... And Caleb's the one that's going through all these not medical issues, but he's going to space. Space, quote unquote space. So I wasn't sure. I've thought about doing like a book 2 of this, and it's going to be very metaphorical as well, and deal with the huge aftermath of losing, the friend. So, I sat down and I jotted down some things, but it didn't come through yet what I wanted. So, I feel like it's going to take me a little bit of time before I put that one out. But soon, it'll come. When it's supposed to.
I have ideas, but I feel like they're too mature.
Mature?
Not like gross mature, but like...
No, I wasn't thinking that.
But like, I feel
kids.
like...
You know the difference.
I feel like the next step would be like him being like, I want to go to space too. And then his mom's like, no, honey, you don't.
Thought about doing that. But then there's another point. Possibly I could touch on that. I've thought about that. But I don't want to give it away.
It might or it might not. Who can never be sure?
I can't be. But yeah, if you guys want to check out The Littlest Astronaut, go on Amazon. I am also on Facebook with it. I don't really use my author page as much as I should.
You could contact her through our Nerdy 30s page.
Yes,
she's
absolutely.
there all the time.
I'm there 24/7. I have my phone next to my head most of the time. I'm just kidding. I never carry it with me. But I do check each night because I like to talk to people about our stuff. So if you want to check out my book, go for it. If you know someone that's sad right now that needs to not feel so alone, go for it.
You're a family dealing with a cancer that might not have a positive outcome and you need to explain it to a child. Go for it.
Go for it, guys. I also, once I gain a little money, I plan on donating a whole bunch of them to Cozair. But I gotta get some money first.
I like Cozair. I'm sad they took the McDonald's out, but I can understand why.
Yeah. That's all right. They gotta do what they gotta do. And I don't judge them.
We're trying to represent healthiness.
Yeah, McDonald's doesn't represent this. Oh, poor McDonald's. They've really gone downhill and no one likes it anymore.
I still like them. It's an abusive relationship.
My stomach hurts. But it's so good. No, I understand. I understand it completely. But I don't know if I have anything else that really needs to be touched on about it.
Other than you should buy it.
You should.
Purchase it on Amazon.
I really hope that the story gets to the people that need it.
Yes.
Because that's the reason for it. to help some people that are hurting. And everyone that has read it that is hurting has told me that it has helped them. So I hope that, if you hear this and you're going through things, that it helps you too.
It would just make me cry a lot.
I know. I cried a lot.
But, like, I'm somebody that's not shy to crying, so, like, I'll just start bawling out of nowhere.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm one of those people that are like, you can't see me cry. So I'll hold it in, like, as long as possible, and then, like, tears will start coming down my face, and then snot starts happening in the nasal region, and I'm
Not
like...
me. People think I'm insane, but that's fine.
I actually think that it's healthier for you to just let it go and just boo your little heart out. It's a lot healthier than what I do because I repress it and then my body hurts. Anything that you are feeling emotionally, let it go because you'll get some sort of medical issue with it later.
Just let it go.
Let it go, guys.
Please don't sing that song, but let it go.
I almost sang it, but you said please not to, and since you said please, I won't.
No, Adele Dazeem! I can't remember if this was this one or the last one, but
it was the last
she's been
one.
a theme.
She's been a theme these last few podcasts. And I'm proud she's been a theme. Adele whatevers. John Travolta and his Scientology tried to ruin you and you said no.
She did kind of go flat after she performed. Like, after that, no.
Girl, you can't be
But
on...
she's Adele Dazeem.
You can't be on key all the time. It's okay.
Neither can half the people trying to sing your song.
Mariah Carey was flat the entire time when she was on the ball drop thing this
Mariah
year.
Carey wasn't even on... Like, she wasn't even singing. She was just like, carry me.
It was awesome. In the middle of her song, she's like, they said they were going to give me tea. They haven't given me
Where's
tea.
my tea?
Where is my tea? It was amazing. But anyway... so guys, check it out. We love you. And sayonara.
Sayonara. See you in space.
Oh, in the netherworld? Is that what you mean?
I was meaning like literal space.
Oh.
But I guess also then, because like then we wouldn't be like restricted by like our mortal bodies.
Exactly.
We could just be like, I want to go to Spain right now.
Here we go. Let's go to Spain. I'm gonna go eat some cheese in Spain. I don't know if Spain has a lot of cheese. Are they known for cheese?
There's cheese in Spain.
I assume there's cheese there. I just wasn't sure if they were known for cheese.
I can't remember if this is in Italy or in Spain, but there's like this gross cheese where they let it rot and have maggots in it. And they're like, oh, it's for the flavor. I'm like, oh,
what? You think eat the maggots with it?
Yeah, you have to eat the maggots with it for the flavor.
That's disgusting. Not gonna happen.
Never.
I'll be honest though, I ate crickets before, but no maggots.
I might eat fried crickets. I don't know.
I ate fried crickets. They were pretty good.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not like super scared of that. But
I read on the internet that there is a it was like a website that tells you how to buy things so that you can actually have food in your house when you don't have any money. Because I don't have any money and I want food in my house. And they were like, you can go to the pet store and you get feeder crickets. And I was like, what? They're like, freeze them and then put them in the oven. I was like, those poor babies.
I know.
I was like,
I want them to be pre-dead. I don't want to see them.
Exactly.
I don't want to, like, it's the same with any, like, meat products. I don't want to see them die.
Yeah. If I had to
I don't have the
be a
discipline to
hunter
be
in
a
in the woods, I'd be like, I'm going to eat these berries. And then I would die from them because they'd be poisonous.
You'd just be following a deer around and be like, please die.
Please, I'm ready. I'm ready to eat. I wouldn't be able to cut it up, though. Like, I'd be like, no, babe. See, I would start trying to save it. If I could tell that it's about to die. I'd be like, I'm going to help you. You're going to live forever. I would heal the deer, and then I would follow the deer around and find out what berries it ate. And then I would...
What if it was berries that it can eat, but you can't?
Oh, God. There's so many layers.
Also, like, there was a scientific study done recently that said that plants can also feel pain now.
Yes, they can.
So it's like, what are you going to eat? What arguments are you going to make now, vegans? Like,
trees actually will, like, if one of their friends are cut down, they send their roots over to their friend that's cut down and send nutrients to it to help it.
Yeah.
Stop cutting trees.
Don't kill things, but also we need to eat, so I guess just be nice to it when you...
Exactly.
Just do like the Native Americans used to do and be like, I'm sorry,
I love you, but
I need to eat you.
I gotta eat to survive. Yeah. Yeah.
So on that note, this has been a description of the Littlest Astronaut.
Astronaut?
It's the Astronaut.
The Littlest Astronaut with Jonah and Caleb.
Available on Amazon at fine book retailers near you. Probably not near you.
But you can just go online.
A local thing, but if you're not local, then go online.
Yeah, just make it easier for yourself. Go online, babies. Check it out there.
And I will try to convince her to make digital copies, because that might help her sales.
I'm gonna try. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
We're gonna end this right.
Just do it.